Hello, everyone joining this webinar. Welcome. My name is Edward. I'll just let everybody join before I really kick off. But in today's session, as you can see, we're talking about the intake process for family law, streamlining it. And as we're letting people arrive, I'll just touch on the section, sections of the webinar that we're going to run through. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of an introduction in terms of who is Settify, and what we do, our journey, how we came to create Settify, because as you can see just below my photo there from my wedding day, actually, last professional photo I've had of myself. I'm a former family lawyer from the UK, and we came together as family lawyers to create this intake tool to solve some problems that we saw in the intake process. So I'll talk a little bit about the assumptions and what we saw at the time when we created Settify, which is 6 years ago now. And then I'll go from there to showing you the user experience, walk you through how Settify benefits clients and their firms, what we've learned from Settify, because Settify has captured quite a bit of data, and so share some of those takeaways with you. And then I'll show you the sort of firm experience, and we talk about the reimagining the initial consultation, because Settify does something with the data it captures from clients. It creates smart documents for their lawyers and the lawyers team. Discuss how Settify kind of reimagines the initial consultation by having that information to hand, how it changes the discussion in the initial meeting. And then in the final section, talk about implementing new technology, because there's a lot of new technology in the legal technology space. And I'll leave a little bit of time for questions as well. But if you have questions as we go, pop them in the chat and I'll try and answer them as we go through the process. So starting off with Settify, who are we? Well, we started life, as I say, 6 years ago. We initially launched Settify in Australia. We expanded it to several other countries, in fact, there's 6 now. And essentially, we are an intake system designed specifically for family law, but really much more than that, because when people think about intake, they think about, perhaps an intake questionnaire or something like that, where what we do is we aim to impress potential clients with a streamlined and slick intake process. We aim to save firms time by gathering information via the client in their own time and space, saving that time following up with clients, the email tennis that I like to call it when I was practicing, saving time on the phone and filtering inquiries so that you can weed out the tire kickers and focus on the clients that you want. It's a little headline summary of kind of the benefits of Settify, but to give you an idea of the numbers about us, there are over 85,000 people that have used Settify to provide their instructions to their chosen firm to date. Over 450 firms globally that use Settify in 6 countries. Firms often ask, like, what kind of firm is the best suited to use Settify? And my response is that all manner of firms use Settify, from solos all the way to large boutiques or all service firms. And as you can see there, there's a bit of a percentage of the smaller firms that use Settify. I would say our sweet spot is about 4 to 5 family lawyers. The average age of a Settify user, a potential client, is 43. So it leans towards upwardly mobile, time-poor, sophisticated individuals that like to get things done, like things that give them immediate satisfaction, in the way that the globe is kind of the kind of digital world that we live in now is kind of has taught us that we can get things immediately online. That said, over 50s represent 25% of Settify users as well. So we see clients well into their 70s use the system. And when I sort of show you the user journey, you'll see that the experience is very user-friendly. The average asset base for a couple is about $1.5 million. And when I talk about the data later on, share some of the takeaways, there's an optional survey at the end of the Settify process that's been completed over 15,000 times. And so when I'm kind of sharing data with you, that's where we're putting that from. So the numbers of Settify there and a little bit of background about us. As I say, I used to be a family lawyer myself for a number of years, then joined Settify to help launch Settify in the UK and now in North America where I'm based. So just returning a little bit to the formations of Settify, just to give you a little understanding about why we created the tool and the assumptions we made, or rather what we could see at that time, which informed our thinking. At the time, we noticed, the world was becoming more and more digital. I mean, it was 6 years ago, but as we've seen, particularly with COVID, that trend has only just gone further and further, particularly with services like Uber, Booking.com, TurboTax. We've become more and more used to being able to get things done at the time and place we want to get it done. So, obviously law firms for a long time have lagged behind consumer trends. So we saw an opportunity to bridge that gap and help firms provide a more immediate service to their clients or potential clients that are wanting to get started with them. And with that knowledge, what we thought about in terms of what we wanted to create was for the client was a focus on a great first impression, because if we are aiming to even convert inquiries, not just gather their information, we need it to look and feel great and for it to be engaging, and rather not just one long questionnaire that's unpersonalized and asking every question without providing anything in return. And what we also wanted to do is build an immediate bond of trust by providing them with information that is relevant to them, to make them feel like they're in the right place. So with that background, I now like to show you the experience. So there are two ways a potential client can access a firm's Settify system. The main route is an email invitation that you can send to potential clients that email you, come the traditional route. As you can see here, this email is branded and looks like it's an email that has been designed in the firm's own hands. So what we've done is taken their logo. This is something that and also the colors and fonts and that sort of thing. This is something that the firm would be able to send out in about 20 seconds. And as you can see, it's got a meet the lawyer section. It's a pro forma email that has everything they need, but they can also manually amend it as well. So it's something you can quickly send out. And in the background, it has a bit of automation too, because it will send the inquiry reminders about their meeting and the opportunity to provide their information up front. It also can send out a calendar appointment and things like that. So a nice bit of time saving for the firm. And if you are that kind of firm where you take a lot of information on the phone, for your team, that can be quite a resource drain, which can't be built. And so with Settify, what our firms can do is save that time and send clients to their intake to provide the majority of their information online in their own time. So that's the email invitation. Firms can also add buttons to their website, so they give their inquiries a third avenue to start their matter with them. So they can still email, they can still call, but as you can see with these firms' websites, we add get started online buttons. Or with this firm, in the top right, they have this let's get started. And they give them two options: starting online right now, or the schedule consultation option. And with this firm here, they've got this nice little bar on the side that's quite eye-catching, and it says see where you stand. And what we know from our Settify analytics is that inquiries to firms' websites come 44% of the time outside of office hours. So being able to capture the attention of an inquiry then and there is pretty powerful, and perhaps take them off the table from your competitors if they're shopping around. When they land on your firm's Settify system, you can see it's branded. So it continues this impressive start that they had. They're looking at this and thinking, wow, this firm has taken the time to think about the user experience and try to make it as seamless for me as well. Initially, in the user journey, we ask them about what help they're looking for, and then high-level questions. We ease them in so as not to scare them off. We're just trying to understand their situation by asking them whether they're married, whether they've separated, just asking first names to begin with, information about children if they have them. The system has some intelligence in that it can recognize genders based on common names. And that's a lot of the feedback that we get from clients, is they found the system to be slick or personalized. And what we hear from firms is that because of that, Settify gathers more information as a result, because it's only asking the questions that are relevant to each individual. We also ask about how they're getting on with this amicability sliding bar, and this is a gentle way to ask a difficult question, and it's often a favorite among family lawyers because it allows you to provide support much sooner than you might otherwise do if you don't know this information before the initial consultation. What Settify also does, and this goes to building an early bond of trust with the inquiries, it creates for them what we call this divorce pathway, which provides them with information based on the answers they provided. It's high level, but what it's doing is introducing legal concepts and helping them to absorb the process they're embarking upon far easier than just coming to the initial meeting cold. And it's also giving them something that's of value. So if they are shopping around and they start with Settify, they're more invested as a result because they provided information, got information in return. So why would they go and start the process again with another firm? They can then provide more detailed information, and at the same time, they can save their progress, password protect it, come back in separate sittings, update it later on, even after the initial meeting. So it's in their control. So just to kind of cap off that user journey that I explained there for the client, and share some of the takeaways from the data that we've collected. I mentioned that Settify can help kind of take clients off the table if they're shopping around. And what we know is that 50% of referrals will shop around with at least one other firm. So again, going back to having that website button, it can be quite powerful to taking them off the table. I mentioned that inquiries come 44% of the time outside of office hours. So again, helping clients to take that first step with you is powerful. And finally, conversion rates. Super important that firms respond to inquiries within the first hour, because the conversion increases by 95%. So that's perhaps one of the greatest takeaways I can provide to a firm. But if you are a smaller firm and you have less resource, how are you kind of making it easier for inquiries to start with you if you don't perhaps have a dedicated person to take inquiries, calls? And just to share some of what we've learned from clients about what they think about Settify, here are kind of the high level takeaways that we've got from our survey. The one I like here is that clients are impressed their lawyers offered Settify as a service. And what that says to me is that a lot of clients have this old-fashioned view that lawyers are old-fashioned themselves, a bit of dinosaurs and sitting behind a mahogany desk with a quill and ink. But Settify gives this impression that the firm is efficient and tech-forward in their approach. I also want to just quickly share some of the client feedback that we sometimes receive. And I think for me, it's the most heartwarming aspects of Settify, that it has helped to ease anxiety and hesitation about somebody moving forward. As we know, they're in a particularly tough spot, perhaps the most catastrophic moment in their life. And so giving them direction is really quite powerful, so they can start to make decisions and take that step forward. The other thing that we often hear is that it gives people a sense of relief that they're in the right hands with the right firm. So moving on to the next section of this webinar, reimagining the initial consultation. So this is where I'm going to show you what the experience of Settify is like for lawyers and law firms. And here, as with clients, we're wanting to make people's lives easier. And so how do we make the lives of law firms easier? Well, what we wanted to do was save time gathering information, either on the phone or during the initial meeting, so that the human interaction from the law firm can be as valuable as possible, focused on the client, their needs, their concerns. Improve accuracy, because Settify is gathering the information in the client's own hands. So it's something that you can rely upon and return to, not just in preparing for the initial meeting, but throughout the life of the file. It will help to save time gathering information, because we've gathered the majority of information you need up front, and save you that time, perhaps translating handwritten notes onto a file note in your practice management system, and also help you to weed out people who are just fishing for free information. Because what you can do is you can introduce them to Settify and say, we'd love to help you if we can. We firstly invite you to use our online intake onboarding system. It'll help you to understand where you're going and ask you the information we need in order to see how we can help you. So in terms of what Settify does for the firm, it takes the client's information and puts it into smart documents. So what you have here is effectively the first file note that can go on your file, saved in your practice management system. To begin with, it will highlight if they have a preferred lawyer, if things are particularly bad between the parties, the help they're looking for, give you a nice summary of the parties, ages, income, health concerns, marital status, they have legal representation, current situation, amicability, financial support, residence, if they've repartnered, referral source. So within the first page, what you have is a lot of the information you need that's going to help you understand what you're walking into and craft any follow-up questions that you might have, any gaps in knowledge that you need in order to provide the information or the advice to this client. You have key dates of the relationship, summary of finances, information about children, and here will include information about residence, UCCJEA questions, information about the parenting, contact details, preferred callback times, a nice overview of the assets and liabilities, indication of how well they know the assets by the confidence meter. And as you can see, it can get quite granular if the clients want to go and expand on the information that they've provided. You'll also receive a case timeline in Word, and this is a brilliant document that gives you a high level and quick snapshot of all the people involved, the dates you need to know, so it can be sat in front of you when having that initial consultation so that you can have that eye-to-eye conversation. Settify can also populate a balance sheet in Excel. So if the users provide a really decent set of data, then you have something that you can immediately work from, and it has the Excel formulas already included. So when you change values, the totals will recalculate for you. So with those documents, not only has Settify kind of saved the firm time gathering information and filtering and allocating work, it also impacts upon the initial meeting that I've alluded to, because for potential clients, they are coming to the meeting prepared. They've already received value from the system and in the way that it's kind of introduced legal concepts and given them a foundational understanding of the process ahead. It's helped them to kind of set the cogs in motion, so they understand as well what you need. So they feel organized, less anxious, and more confident. For the law firm, Settify has almost created like a checklist. You can see what you have and pick out any gaps or areas that need that you can dig a little deeper when you meet with a client. It also gives you that opportunity to research any issues that you need to, and this is particularly helpful for junior lawyers who will feel more confident going in, knowing that they have all the angles covered. And rather than having to spend the time scribbling away like I used to do and then have to decipher my own handwriting, you can have an eye-to-eye conversation because you've got much of the detail down in front of you. You don't have to be asking about the value of the family car or the children's middle names. You've got that. And you have that file note that you can then rely on later on down the track when you're drafting court documents, letters, and even when you're thinking about negotiating starting point 3 months down the track. You can think, where was the client's head at when they first began the journey? What mattered to them most? So a little summary there of the experience for law firms. In the final section, I'm just going to touch on implementing new technology, because this can often be quite daunting for firms, particularly small firms that don't have the same resource as a larger firm. And often, particularly when it's coming with a practice management system, can involve quite a lot of time and thought and learning about how to use new systems and processes. So what I want to share with Settify, with our system, we've designed it specifically for family law and local laws. So out of the box, it already contains the information that is relevant, and it's been tailored for each jurisdiction with help from local lawyers. So all the information provided within Settify, it's not really advice, just sort of process and introducing legal concepts. It's already been vetted. So out of the box, it's ready to go. Our designers will design the app for you, create website buttons that they can either add for you or provide the instructions to your website developers. We'll even suggest positioning and ways to market Settify as part of your offering. I see a lot of family lawyers these days providing a kind of offering in the sense of having an a la carte menu a fixed fee offering. And so you can weave in Settify as part of that offering, advertise how tech forward you are. And despite maybe being only a solo firm, presenting your firm as something much bigger than that, that has the resources to take their matter. We also, of course, have 24/7 tech support and client care and people behind the scenes that will be sharing the data that Settify collects relevant to your firm and see in the ways that buttons can be positioned and other sort of takeaways that help you to get more from your technology. Settify can also integrate with a number of practice management systems, including Clio and Smokeballs, so that the data we collect will also automatically open a file in your practice management system and populate the data so that you don't have to do the rekeying of data yourself. So, and I should just sign off that with Settify, we can usually roll out the system within a week, and we'll do the heavy lifting in terms of the designs and training and that sort of thing. So, questions. I see here that we may. Oh, okay. So I have a question from Beth. How does data storing work with Settify? I'm sure you work with many family law offices and want to ensure the data is safe, as opposed to opposing counsel's office may use the same software. Absolutely. Or maybe the potential client meets with two offices. Yeah, this is a great question. And Settify segments the data so that if somebody is using the system on your firm's Settify system, it's completely set apart from if they used another firm's system in the same jurisdiction or anywhere in the US for that matter. And something that we have done as well is if somebody has come through via a firm's website, it will let the firm know if this person has perhaps used another Settify system. Just so, you know, a concern that some firms have is that they may be kind of nefariously using the system to kind of block a firm out. So it gives you that information, just so you know they may have used another firm's Settify system. But to your point about being mixed up, we of course segment it so that they don't ever touch another firm's system. And the other point to make on sort of data security is that the system behind Settify is the same as you would find at a hospital or in terms of the military. It's secured to that level whereby we use we encrypt data. That's the word I was looking for. At rest in our cloud and in transit, so that it's protected when it's sitting at rest and when it's in transit to the firm. I hope that answers your question, but thank you so much for that. That's a really important question and something we dedicate a lot of our time to. Are there any questions at this juncture? Well, if there are no other questions, actually, Beth, I think I can see that what you can do is actually find sort of our data security information on our website. And what my colleague has just done is for anybody who'd like to have a sort of personalized, more in-depth demonstration of Settify, you can book a demo via our website, settify.com, or there's a link here in the chat where you can do that as well. Thank you so much, everybody who's attended. I hope you found that valuable, and look forward to seeing you at the next one.